What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Uh, Make sure to like and subscribe as you come in and check out the content. And with that being said, I'm gonna get right into my topic, man. I want to speak on Monica Mcnutt and how she just recently gave an interview to the Washington Post. And in that interview, she basically proved that Stephen A. Smith is a hypocrite, right? Um, Now, back a few months ago, Monica Mcnutt and Stephen A. Smith had a disagreement about Caitlin Clark and her being in the Olympics and her impact on the on the WNBA. And so Monica McNutt's her stance was that Caitlin Clark was that like the women of the WNBA are not jealous or not really envious of Caitlin Clark. It's just healthy competition, right? And so Stephen A. Smith was just basically saying that the women are jealous of Caitlin Clark because she getting all the attention and everything, and that the women of the WNBA should just go ahead and just accept the fact that Caitlin Clark is, that she is the best or one of the better players in the WNBA. And so Monica McNutt was saying, well, what about the other women who have set the groundwork for players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and these rookies that are coming in the league? You just can't give them all of the credit for raising the league up when you have so many women before them who have made contributions. And Stephen A. Smith was saying, no, all y'all women are just jealous. So he kind of just dismissed their feelings. He dismissed their point of view. But recently, Monica McNutt gave an interview and she said, so she pointed out that, all right, so if the women of the WNBA are jealous and envious of Caitlin Clark, and you say that that a high tide makes all boats rise, then what about your situation with at ESPN with the guy Pat McAfee, right? Now Pat McAfee came in and started making more money than Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith was there, and Pat McAfee came in much like Caitlin Clark. Pat McAfee came in with a large fan base that he had built before he had came to ESPN. So that allowed him to have leverage that allowed Pat McAfee to have leverage. So he could use that leverage to get himself, so he can get a nice payday. And he used that leverage to his advantage. But Stephen A. Smith was envious of that because he felt like he had been at ESPN for all of those years helping to build ESPN up. Monica McNutt made a good point, a great point actually, and she said it's the same situation. Pat McAfee is building ESPN up. He's bringing a audience that ESPN didn't previously have before he got there. He's bringing his fan base along with him to ESPN. But Stephen A. Smith didn't see, you know what I mean? He didn't recognize that it's the same thing. He's been at ESPN for all of that time, for years, way before Pat McAfee got there. And now Pat McAfee comes in and Stephen A. Smith is he was envious that Pat McAfee was getting more than him. So when his contract, with his contract came up, he wanted 25 million. He wanted more than what what Pat McAfee was getting. And so he couldn't realize, why couldn't he go along with like, okay, Pat McAfee is bringing a whole different fan base to ESPN that we never had, and so he could have went along just like he was telling the people, the women in the WNBA, just go along, you know what I mean? Recognize that, high tides make all boats rise, and so she pointed this out in an article, like I said, his hypocrisy in an article to the Washington Post, in which I always thought that, you know, like you shouldn't be so dismissive of like the women's point of view. You know, these women uh have experience in the league, that, you know, they're athletes. As a matter of fact, these Monica Mcnutt is a better athlete than Stephen A. Smith. You know, she played professional basketball. Stephen A. Smith didn't play professionally. You know, she played, you know, and she had a more extensive, a better collegiate career than Stephen A. Smith. So she is actually more qualified to speak on the situation than Stephen A. Smith. But you know, if it just seems like if you're not saying or going along with what they the narrative that they want to present at ESPN, then you're wrong, you know. And so she really called him out. She said that he didn't, you know, actually he didn't really care too much about the WNBA until Caitlin Clark came up, you know, and that also hurt Stephen A. Smith. Now, I think that's true. I think I see a lot of the, you know, I see a lot of these sports broadcasters now pandering to that Caitlin Clark fan base, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, Gilbert Arenas. You know, you see a lot of those guys, Charles Barkley. They're just pandering to that fan base when, you know, it's cool to acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is a very good basketball player, right? But why can't people have an opposing view about her performance, or an opposing view about her playing on the Olympics? You know, why can't they, without being vilified? And so, you know, that just makes you know, just it just makes them look like a bunch of hypocrites, especially Stephen A. Smith. Him and Shannon Sharp, man, they just look like hypocrites over there, like they're pandering. Um, and so, yeah, that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And also, do me a favor, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about Stephen A. Smith and Monica Mcnutt. You know what I mean? Let me know if you think that the way that Stephen A. Smith goes about, you know, pandering and all that stuff, if you think he's right, or if you think that Monica Mcnutt is wrong, and that they are really just, the women are really just you know, they're jealous of Caitlin Clark, which I don't think so. I think it's the women in the league are just competitive. You know, like Michael Jordan had to, you know, he went through the same thing. Tiger Woods went through the same thing. You know, rookies every year, rookies in the NBA go through the same, especially if you're a first round, a number one overall draft pick. You know, people gonna want to come at you. You know, so that it might be, it's going to be some healthy, you know, competitiveness, some healthy and some envy and some jealousy, and all that stuff just come with the territory. But you know, to just dismiss these women, like especially Monica Mcnutt, Andrea Carter, and Cheryl Swoops, like they don't know what they talking about. I think you know, just make those guys on those sports talk shows, like I said, make them look like they're pandering and make them look like hypocrites. That's my take. So you know, leave a comment. And with that being said, I'll check you all out on the next